And it turns.
Yep.
Then I can
Now they can hear you.
Now they can. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It looks like we have Mr. Brennan, Mr. Witherspoon, Ms. Allen, Mr. Keys, myself. So we're waiting for two more. Michael, are you in chambers? Don't worry about
Okay. Stop it.
I am not in chambers today.
it. Okay. We're trying to figure out how to get my camera to go on.
Kathy, on my end, it shows that your camera is currently on.
Can you see me though?
No.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Let's try this. Why isn't this working? It worked for a second.
Is Mr. Winarski joining us today?
He is. He said he was on his way to City Hall headquarters about 10 minutes ago.
I don't know what to tell you. Try your phone. I don't know why it's not walking. It should have.
Hello, young man.
Hi. That coffee working there? I just did it.
Yeah, it sounds like
Jim, are you hooked online?
hello, we are on.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. Thank you, everyone, for being present, Mayor Joe, and everyone that I see. Paul, I think we're ready to go.
Okey doke. Thank you very much, Kathy. Thanks everyone for coming tonight. We're gonna work on Public Works tonight. Dave is here and I see Chuck's upstairs also, AJ from the garage. And they have 13 different departments that we're gonna talk about. Most of their pages in the budget handout book start at about page 52 and run up through the mid 70s. So I'm sure everyone's had a chance to look at that. I'm going to now turn it over to David. Any questions or anything? Lisa and I are here. Christine's also here. Dave and Chuck are, well versed in everything regarding their department. So I guess Mr. Mulvihill, take it away.
Thank you, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes. Mr. President, I was hoping I could just do a quick summary of 2020 and then have Chuck, myself, and AJ go through some of the bureaus and then follow that up with just a summary of where we are with our security plan that we've been working on since summer, if that's okay with you.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, 2020 started off as a great year. We had one of the warmest winters in the last decade. We were saving money on salt, fuel, overtime, and very optimistic about having a good year. And then, like everyone else, we ran into March and Corona. And Public Works reacted quickly as soon as the shutdown started. We split our crews into shifts to try to avoid, having everyone together at one time so we wouldn't take out a whole bureau if somebody tested positive. We did pretty well for a long time. We also participated at the wastewater treatment plant in a test, one of the 400 plus cities that participated in the BioBot testing, which I'm sure you've read about and heard about, where we're testing the wastewater, and it gives a good indication of what the real number is of positive cases in Erie County. So the testing early on showed that it was far greater than what was being shown, and it's getting more accurate every day, and it's really showing now the spikes that are occurring now are being matched by their data. So it's pretty we're glad we're participating in this, and I think it's helping a lot. And then, so we're still, Chuck, where are we with our Corona right now?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, David. Currently in Public Works, as of today, we have 13 employees on quarantine. 4 employees are positive, including 1 employee who's currently hospitalized. The other 9 are off due to exposure to a known positive. So currently we have 13 employees on quarantine.
And we're back on shifts now, and we're doing everything we can to keep our workers safe. And our workers have been working from day one, and especially, our refuse workers have been on the front lines. Our wastewater treatment plant workers, everyone has been out there. We haven't stopped doing what we're tasked to do because of the Corona. Everything has gone on as planned. We're paving, we're doing everything that we do any other year. We're just being more cautious, and we're doing it with masks and social distancing where possible. And then later on in the year, we had the riot on May 30th, and I think Chief Dan spoke a lot about that. And we participated in that after the police cleared the scene down here and secured the area. And then Public Works moved in and did all a lot of the cleanup for all the broken glass and all the debris up and down State Street and on some of the side streets and at City Hall itself where we had a window broken. So Public Works, with the help of police, took care of a lot of those issues. And then we moved into summer later, and we had the boat. The boat showed up on the beach at Chautauqua. All the state agencies bailed on us. The Fish and Boat Commission has boat in its name, ran away. The DEP ran away. The Coast Guard came down, emptied the fuel, and then they took off, and everyone left it there for the city to take care of. And so after going back and forth with the governor's office and all the agencies, and we finally took it upon us to ourselves, and AJ and the Municipal Garage took care of that. And AJ, if you could just give a quick summary of what it took to get a boat off a beach up onto a truck.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. It took a multi-departmental effort between the Municipal Garage, Streets Department, and the Sewer Department. And we have a large record that's typically used for a large tow truck that's typically used for garbage trucks or fire trucks or plow trucks, that we actually extended the boom with a cable down the foot to Chautauqua Beach and attached the boat essentially with chains and pulled it up the hill. And we had to cut it into pieces and get it up the hill to haul it out, and sewer collection needed to come and hose out the fuselage of the boat because all the sand and rock got in it over the months that it was there, which made it extremely heavy. And Streets was there to help clean up with high lifts and on their trucks, and it was a true cross-departmental effort. It took a greater part of a day and a half to do, and everybody, all the employees that worked on the project are this is one of the ones that they're going to remember for a long time. They're very proud of what they did. And
thanks, AJ. And we're going to be, I understand that the owner is still in jail. We have logged all the costs, and we're going to be seeking restitution through the solicitor's office for all the costs associated with that removal as well. And that's now, I guess, Mr. President, we'd like to go in and to summarize some of the bureaus, and Chuck Zisk will begin that.
That sounds good. Do we have an idea what the costs were to pull the vessel out and tow it away?
Yeah, I think they're roughly about, we invoiced roughly about $7,800. And we're going to submit that to the vessel owner's insurance company. And we're also going to attach that to the criminal case for the boating under the influence. So we've been very successful this year going after any kind of public damage and getting reimbursement for it. So that's already been turned over to the solicitors, and hopefully we'll have some kind of money, see some reimbursement in the beginning of the year.
Great, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take over from here. Thank you, David. Thank you, AJ. Usually Dave gives you the big presentation of the percentage of public works and the percentage on the budget and the pension.
Let me just give that, Chuck, just before you start. I just wanted to give this some statistics here just before we go through this. The public works is 34.7% of the total city employees, and that's split between general fund and the enterprise funds. We're about in general fund, public works is 14.9% of the total general fund budget. However, we're only 7.35% of the pension. So it's 34.7% of the employees, but in the pension and the general fund pension, we're only 7.35%, and we're 15.3% of the salaries and 11.75% of the overtime. And also Public Works contributes back to the general fund. And actually, we are reimbursing that through different licenses, permits, monies that we get from PennDOT for winter maintenance, grants, recycling grants from DEP, and Central Service and things like that. We're almost reimbursing the general fund about 40% of what we spend. So we're actively trying to keep the general fund well funded through the public works efforts. And now you can go, Chuck.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, what I'd like to do tonight is I'd like to briefly touch on each department individually, talk about what we've done in 2020 to reduce expenses, and what we're going to continue to do in 2021. I'm going to refer mostly to the budget book. Unfortunately, I don't have the video screen in front of me, so I will be referring mostly to the preliminary edition of the budget book and also Paul Lichtenwalter's handout, the general budget handout. And when I reference that, I'll let you know exactly what page or pages I'm referring to. With that being said, I'm going to start with the Bureau of Engineering. Well, I'm sorry, the Director's Office, 701. The change in the budget is only $4,000 from the 2020 budget to the 2021 preliminary budget. That increase is due to health insurance and a slight salary increase. The Bureau of Engineering is the next bureau. That's on page 49. You can see in there also a slight increase from $566,000 to $581,000. While COVID did slow us down, the Bureau of Engineering was continually busy handling building permits, one calls. We're currently working on a couple really big projects. We have a 7.5 RACB grant. That's over $5.7 million in construction budget for downtown streetscapes improvements. That's going to be a 6-phase project. The scope of the work will be State Street from 2nd to 12th and also Peach to French. This project includes lighting, treescapes, soil pods, sidewalk replacements. We anticipate to break ground on that project in early 2021. We're also in final design for a $3.2 million streetscape project that encompasses the West 8th Street corridor from Green Garden to Pittsburgh Avenue. We submitted our plans to PennDOT for final design. Again, this is $3.2 million. It's going to include upgrades in lighting, streetscapes, soil pods, sidewalks, a new road surface, milling and resurfacing. So that's over $10.7 million currently in the engineering department getting worked on for streetscape projects. We're in early design phase for 5 or 6 stormwater projects that are going to impact our citizens next year. I'll just speak briefly. We have an outfall replacement project at the foot of Euclid where it discharges into Lake Erie. We have a stormwater management project that's going to offer some stormwater relief for residents who live in the area of 41st to 43rd and Brandis. Another stormwater relief project that's going to give some relief to residents who live in the area of Zimmerman and Genesee. We just yesterday applied for a grant for design for a stream bank restoration project in McClellan Park. And we also have one more stormwater project we'd like to see take place in 2021, and that's the East 20th Parade to Wallace Street. We need to add a storm sewer to that development, and that's also in the early design phases. The next page I'm going to touch on is the traffic division of engineering. What have we done in 2020 to reduce costs, and what are we going to do in 2021 to continue to look at expenses? In 2020, we removed 3 traffic signals. One at 6th and Raspberry, one at 16th and Liberty, one at 8th and East Avenue. We have several other intersections that are under study for consideration in 2021. When we remove those signals from service, significant reduction in utility costs, maintenance costs, and replacement costs. And I'll mention the cost of one of the signals we're looking at momentarily. In 2020, we also retrofitted 367 city-owned sodium vapor lights, street lights. We had 171 on the Bayfront Connector, 62 on Parade Street, 25 on Peach, 32 on 12th Street, 24 on State, and 50 on West 38th Street. We expect to see an annual cost savings of over $20,000 a year. So this is interesting. You may know it, you may not know it, but it's interesting when you put traffic lights in perspective and street lights. Penelec owns 7,839 streetlights in the city of Erie. We pay a monthly tariff rate of $81,831 for those streetlights. The city of Erie owns 565, and all of those are metered, and we've been actively going out and switching those over to high efficiency LEDs, and since they're on the metered rate, we're seeing reduction in our utility costs. We're currently also looking at installing electrical services and lighting at Frontier Park and Burton Park for the tennis courts. Although there'd be an upfront cost, we feel the annual savings would be between $25,000 and $28,000 a year if the lights were owned by the city of Erie and not by Penelec. We're looking at a signal removal at 18th and Raspberry and installing a four-way stop sign. We would save the monthly utility bills and also avoid a major upgrade which is needed for pedestrian safety. So if we were able to take that light out, if we get approval by PennDOT to take that traffic signal out, we potentially be saving between $300,000 and $1 million, which is typical for a traffic signal upgrade project. And typically PennDOT picks up 90% of that cost, and the city is on the hook for the other 10%. But even at $300,000, you're talking a $30,000 investment from the city. We're continuing to convert school flasher lights to LEDs. We're doing better asset management tracking. And I think I mentioned this, especially when AJ said that we're really looking very carefully. Anytime there's an accident report that comes across Public Works, we're looking to see if there's anything that could be recouped from the insurance company, if there's any type of damage to any kind of public property. We've been very successful. The $7,800 for the boat. I think there was an accident at 38th and Cherry Street where we're seeking $5,000 or $6,000 in restitution. So that's we've been very aggressive. You'll see a change coming up for ordinance for fees collected by permit through the engineering department. Prior to 2021, we do not charge a fee if a contractor wants to close a street down for road construction or they want to close down a lane. It creates traffic issues for our residents, and also we have to send our employees out to make sure that the traffic zone and the workplace safety is accurate. So there'll be a nominal fee charged, and it'll be coming through for council sometime early in 2021. Moving on, the next Public Works Bureau is going to be the Bureau of Streets, and that's on page 52 of the City of Erie 2021 budget. Highlights in 2021, the Bureau of Streets year-to-date in-house work is over $740,000. We had budgeted $650,000 for the year. We had some savings on some of the contracted paving work, and we were able to add a few additional streets at the end of the year for milling and resurfacing. Late in 2020, we were awarded a federal AIDS route grant from PennDOT in the amount of $350,000, and this was the maximum awarded by PennDOT. This is going to allow us to mill and resurface a portion of West 6th Street from Cranberry to Poplar next year, and also Raspberry Street from 18th to 12th. Now, the $350,000 does not cover the entire cost of those two projects, so we will have $70,000 of additional funding to get those streets completed, and those will be ready to be let first thing in the spring, so as soon as the weather breaks, we're ready to start our road improvement project. In 2021, our preliminary road improvement program has a preliminary budget of just over $4 million, $4,038,270. This is going to be funded by various sources, including liquid fuels, debt service, federal aid routes, and CDBG funding. And like we usually do, we'll have 4 or 5 contracts given out to private contractors, and a large portion of that, approximately $700,000, will continue to be done by in-house Bureau of Streets employees. 2020 was our first full year of intermunicipal milling sales agreements. So we have agreements in place with 11 townships for them to purchase our recycled millings. Year to date, we received $47,964. And just this morning, LaBeouf Township has requested to purchase the remaining $60,000 of stockpile millings in our yard. We expect to collect $107,964 in our first year of intermunicipal milling sales. Maybe you're familiar or not, but what we've done in the past is when we've stockpiled millings, we put them out to public auction. A private individual would come in, buy the whole entire pile, ship it off-site, screen it, and turn around and sell it to the municipalities at a 500% increase. We thought the right thing to do was to work directly with those municipalities. We formed some agreements. We set our base price on the auction price, and we added a surcharge for stockpiling, handling, and billing. And it's been a win-win for the city of Erie and all the surrounding townships and municipalities who participate in that program. Very, very excited about that. To see that continue. Next, we're going to move on to the division of paint and sign, which is in the Bureau of Streets. Not much changing here. The budget went from $495 to $503. We'll be going out for paint this year, so there'll probably be an increase in the cost of materials. And I think I mentioned it in 2020 when we went into the budget. We used to do the long line striping for the state of Pennsylvania and the city of Erie. We did an analysis. They were giving us $7,000 a year to perform that service for them. We felt that it wasn't enough to cover our expenses, so we opted not to continue that relationship with PennDOT. So PennDOT now comes in and stripes all the state roads within the city of Erie. We no longer provide that service for them, although we're still required by law to do the crosswalks, the arrows, and everything else associated on state highways. The only thing that we do no longer do is the long line striping. Next, I'd like to move on to Bureau of Fleet and Maintenance on page 56. That's account 719. In 2021, we increased our labor rates by $15 an hour to offset the continuous growth in the cost of the mechanics base labor rate and the general industry rates. Each year, our Teamster employees' wages increase, as do the labor rates across the industry. This increase this year is intended to stay in line with those trends. So every year we go out and we'll take a look at what 5-star charges, what Hallman's will charge, and we want to make sure that we're competitive and we're charging the appropriate rates and the hourly rates for our customers. Again, in 2021, there's going to be a small increase in the fuel upcharge. It's going to be changed by a 10-cent per gallon increase. So the upcharge will go from 25 cents to 35 cents per gallon. This is a direct correlation with the costs associated with maintaining the fuel pumps, the software platform, and the new fuel island that was installed in 2020. We're happy to see that we were able to add one new revenue account in 2020, and that's Wesleyville Bureau. They started coming to the city of Erie in October. They had a reduction in their municipal staff. We estimate that based on the size of their fleet and their maintenance needs, that we can actually hopefully see an additional $90,000 of revenue going into the general fund account. In addition to that, the 11 municipalities that we have agreements to for the milling sales, we put flyers in all our billing invoices to make them aware that if they have a need, the city of Erie has the ability and the desire to service their equipment if necessary. So we're going to continue to go ahead and look for additional contacts and clients.
And Chuck,
Yes,
the
sir.
municipal garage also brings in, we're budgeted for $875,000 this year to bring into the general fund.
That is correct. So we expect to bring over $900,000 into the general fund next year from the work that we do on our revenue accounts. Public buildings, I'll let Dave talk to public buildings because we made a conscientious decision to save some money by not turning the heat on the building until December. We're trying to do our best, but I think it's backfiring. Hopefully we have all those HVAC upgrades done here before Thanksgiving. It's been very cold in the building. We've invested quite a bit of money. the actuators in the individual office, the steam coils, the valves. It's a timely job. We ask everybody to be patient. We see some light at the end of the tunnel. I think that it's a short-term disruption for a long-term improvement, and I think that once the building gets back up and fully functioning, we get the HVAC working the way it should be, people will forget about this small inconvenience.
And for this, we got caught up in the COVID issues here as the manufacturers had slowed down, and all the installers all got backed up waiting for parts. So we became a victim of that. We thought we could get it in on time. The work upstairs in the penthouse is very tight, very time consuming. It's taken them longer than they had anticipated, but it appears that all the pieces are up there now, and they're very, very close. So apologize for just didn't work out, but hopefully we'll have everything back to normal next week, running better than ever.
Thank you. The next bureau I'd like to speak about is the Bureau of Parks and Recreation. That's on page 60. Again, a small increase in the budget from $2,096,000 to $2.131 million. We did have some savings this year due to the summer rec program. As you know, the Bureau is very short-staffed. There's 8 full-time employees. We take care of 58 parks and properties. A majority of what we do, grass cutting. Most of the money coming into our park system is a result of grants. In 2020, we received 2 grants. Phase number 2, McClellan Park, was a $120,000 grant from the DCNR. That project is wrapping up. We still have a little bit of paving to do. We'll wrap that up in early 2021, and we're starting on phase number 3. This is a $190,000 grant from the Greenway Trails program. That's going to add a bridge over the creek, some additional ADA walking trails, and some picnic shelters. Yesterday, we submitted a grant request in the amount of $37,650 to fund the design of a stream bank restoration project that would go hand in hand with the Phase 3 McClellan Park project with the bridge, and would go a long way with enhancing our DEP total solids removal projects. Continuing work in Bayview Park with our West Bayfront and some various funders down there. We have a light installation scheduled, should be done before the end of the year. That's going to put a lighting at the Bayview basketball courts. We also did some work on the multi-purpose trails. Phase 3 of that is going to continue in 2021. Again, it's very hard to find funding sources to do major park improvements. This one I'm very proud of. I'm working with a group of local businessmen and Erie residents, specifically Bob Borgia and Tom Wazinski. They're continuing to push forward in their efforts to raise approximately $100,000 for the installation of 4 regulation pickleball courts at Baldwin Park. So they've been ringing my phone off the hook. I haven't been able to get back with them yet, but they're eager to go out in the community and raise that money and be a partner with the city of Erie in Baldwin Park. So I'm very pleased to report on that. Let's see, Parks and Recreation.
We've also have prepped the basketball court. We've repaired all the cracks in anticipation of a spring 2021 painting of the basketball court with Erie Arts and Culture and our West Bayfront. We'll be partnering on that.
The next bureau in Public Works is going to be the Bureau of Sewer Treatment, and that's going to be found on page 74. 2021 preliminary budget. The budget is increased slightly from $19,736 to $19,990,000. Now, some of the main drivers of those cost increases, we have we have a 5% increase in our water bill, which is typically $30,000 a month. We have an increase in our tipping fees to dispose of our ash and our sludge. We were able to hold the price on our major chemicals, being phosphorus, ferric chloride, and polymer. We got a 1-year price lock on all 3 of those, but those are all going to have to go out to bid again in 2021. And what you see here is the true cost of running a world-class wastewater treatment plant. It's probably one of the finest ones, if not the finest one, on the Great Lakes, and very proud of the work that Basil Ronzetti and his crew do down there. An excellent job. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't be happier with the work that they do for the city of Erie and their tributaries. The next thing we'll talk about is the Bureau of Sewer Maintenance, also in the proprietary fund. This is the group of 18 that go out every day, and they're doing the sanitary, the flushing, the sanitary inspections, the catch basins, the manhole adjustments, responding to flooded basements and flooded mains. Again, there's no significant increase. Kept the line very, very tight. This is the true cost of providing the service for the residents of the city of Erie. Next, the refuse fund. I want to take a step back, and I want to reference page 52 of 96 of Paul's budget handout that shows the Department of Public Works, Property and Parks, the employee summary. So I'd like to say in 2021, we still have the same amount of employees, 220. This doesn't include, we currently have 54 part-time employees in the refuse that work on call in either a carrier's position or a driver's position, and this is what allows us to continue to try to hold the line very closely on expenses and provide the service for the residents of the city of Erie. So looking at what we're doing and how we're trying to continue to make sure that we're being efficient there. We're continuing on with our route optimization strategy that we talked about in 2019. Verizon Network Fleet just opened up a software platform. They sent us the hardware and the software. They're going to come in and do the installation. They're very excited. We're going to be their first municipal client, so they're going to give us that for 90 days for free. And what it does, it takes a pre-populated list of addresses, and we're going to use it for our large item collection truck. We can download it directly from our access base into the GPS unit. It'll tell our drivers, go from A to B. We can monitor the time of the stops, the speed, the accuracy. Are they varying from their routes? And ultimately, one of the biggest ways we're going to be able to save money in the refuse is by continuing to improve the delivery of service. Are our routes right? Are we not going back and forth over the same street several times a night? Are we doing everything we can do to make sure that we're running as efficiently as possible? This year we applied for a $350,000 Department of Environmental Protection grant for some additional compost site equipment. That has a December award date. What we're trying to purchase is a new Bobcat, a tractor for the site, and approximately 8,500 blue recycling bins that would be given out to City of Erie residential refuse customers at recycling events. And when we talk about recycling, everybody's aware that at one point we were getting paid for our recycling, and then the tipping fees went from us getting paid to $6 a ton. They went from $6 a ton to $40 a ton. Last year they went from $40 to $125 a ton. We have a 1-year option to extend that contract in 2021, and if not, we're going to have to go back out to bid in 2022. I think one of the main drivers, we need to eliminate the use of bags in our collection system. We don't have the money or the resources to provide everybody a blue bin, but I think if we're successful in obtaining 10,000 bins from a grant account and handing them out to citizens that are avid recyclers. I think that's going to go a long way in helping us try to keep our tipping fees down for our recycling. Mayor Schember just announced this week that we're going to participate in the Recyclable Glass Container Municipal Drop-Off Pilot Program. That's being done by Erie Management Group, and we're going to place some containers at various locations throughout the city of Erie, so city of Erie residents can come and continue their part by recycling glass. This is a free pilot program. We'll see how that goes. This one I'm very excited about. I think that Paul Lichtenwalter kind of stole my thunder on it. For the last couple of years, you've been asking us, when are we going to turn the corner in our compost operations? When are we going to have a product that is a quality product and is going to be able to be sold commercially? This year, I think we finally done it. Had some soil samples done a few times earlier this year. They came back very, very good. Everything within the pH range was good. The nitrogen was good. The carbon was good. The moisture was good. We were able to, by changes in our processes at the compost site, we were able to eliminate 99.9%, if not more, of the inorganic material that was preventing us from making the next step with municipal sales. I hope to have a product available commercially as beginning of January. I still intend to provide free compost for the residents of the city of Erie in the same quantity that we have done in the past with the free drop-offs at the parks around the city of Erie. But I would like to be able to offer commercial sales of finished compost beginning the first of the year at $21 per yard loaded. It's too early for me to say what type of impact that I have on our miscellaneous revenues coming into the refuse and recycling fund, but I'm very optimistic. And I think, David, that's everything I have. If Paul would like to discuss golf, if he already hasn't, Paul Lichtenwalter is the golf fund, although it falls under Public Works. He's got his fingers on the day-to-day budgetary operations of the golf fund. And I'm available.
You want to talk about liquid fuels first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Okay, liquid fuels. A slight decrease in what we got from 2020 to 2021. In 2020, we got a PA operating grant of $2,885,000. It went down slightly to 2.653, and this is due, in fact, the number of gallons of gasoline that was sold had decreased due to COVID, the number of miles people were traveling. If you look at the miscellaneous sources under revenue on page 88, we had budgeted for $10,000 in miscellaneous sources. Year to date, we're at $105,054 in bringing in miscellaneous revenues. Majority of that money is a direct result of the intermunicipal sales with the local governments for the milling. Another thing to look at, one of the big cost drivers, or one of the biggest expenses of the expenditure of the liquid fuels, 4049, street lighting and traffic signals. Every year, we spend over $1.3 million for street lighting, traffic signals, and crosswalk signs. That's our largest expense, and we also allocate a portion of that money every year to street paving. So I'm available to answer any kind of questions. I know I kind of went through there quickly. If anybody has any questions on anything in particular, or any thoughts that we may have about places we possibly could reduce expenses, I'm available.
Chuck, I think you and Dave get A+ triple star. This was a great presentation.
Well, thank you.
We also I wanted to have AJ just touch a little bit on the security, where we are with the security plan that we're trying to, we'll have in place whenever City Hall does open. We intend to address not only the corona-related issues, but also the long-standing security issues that needed to be addressed. So, AJ, if you could.
Absolutely. A quick brief summary is in July of this year, Public Works, we were tasked to begin the initial stages of research, developing a specification, and finding a consulting company to come in and complete a thorough risk assessment of City Hall. And as a team, Public Works, we've identified that COVID obviously needs to be addressed within the future of security, the physical security itself of City Hall, metal detection, building access, basement access, a visitor management program, and just general access control are areas that need to be addressed and improved. And we had researched a variety of different companies that provide consulting services in risk management. And we came across a company called Security Risk Management Consultants, and they were attracted to us because they've worked with various municipalities, including the city of Columbus, the state of Ohio, the state of Tennessee, multiple different universities and hospitals and different companies. And they really were excited to work with us because we have a blank canvas, essentially. We have some practices in place, but we in general are starting from the ground up. And in September of this year, they came on site and they did a thorough tour of the building of City Hall. They met with Public Works, they sat down with EPD, and they also met with other city officials. And they made notes of what they saw in terms of access points and how people interact with the building, how they get into the building, how many different entrances we have. And this is all going to be put into a report, which we have received. And they also did follow-up conversations with risk management, human resources, the treasurer's office, and IT to find out how all role players and decision makers are going to be involved in this process and the different threats that are in the eyes of everyone that works in a building, because everybody has some types of different experiences. And in October, we received their initial draft with their recommendations. And currently what we're doing is we're going back and forth trying to develop phase implementation, because as you know, it'd be impossible to, on day one, implement a project like this. There's so many steps in terms of security and metal detection, COVID self-certification stations, barriers, sanitizing, and then the access control to the building that will include key card access, camera surveillance, visitor management software, basement parking. And then also we need to update our policies and have some infrastructure improvements. So with the phases, we're prioritizing what needs to be done in, let's say, 90 to 120 days, 6 months, a year, 2 years. And in order to get a realistic timeline of development. And also along with the phase implementation, SRMC, our consultant, is developing potential budgetary numbers on how much a project and the scope of a project like this would cost. We don't have those figures yet. They're working on them as we speak. But our goal is to create a modern security management program for the building that not only will address the concerns of the coronavirus today, but also 5 to 10 years and in the future have solid security system for City Hall, its employees, visitors, and etc. for the foreseeable future. And that's our goal as a city and as a public works team.
Thank you, AJ.
Welcome.
That's the conclusion of our presentation, Mr. President. We're open for any questions, comments.
Council have any questions for the gentleman? Each or any one of them?
Yes, I have just one question. Dave, with the improvement of lighting, do you think that would affect my pension from Penelec?
No, you get a free pass on that. You're good.
Okay, then I approve the lighting. Very good presentation, gentlemen. Very good presentation.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. I don't know which one would answer. Those tipping fees that we do mainly with waste management, are those a yearly contract we do, or those 3-year contracts? And I guess for what reason did the recyclable end of it go up to such a high number?
There's 2 contracts, actually. There's one contract for the municipal waste, the garbage that we pick up at everybody's house. And that is a 3-year contract with an option for a 4th year. And we received a really good rate on that. I think it just minimally went up. So we are very lucky on that one. The recycling is another issue. What happened is that the market, just the bottom fell out of the market. China actually refused to accept plastics anymore. And there's barges full of plastic were turned away and sent back, and now the waste people like waste management companies like that have much more trouble getting rid of it because of the impurities. That's the main reason is China was unable to use most of it because it was broken glass, plastics mixed with other items inside, and it just was not a pure product. So they had to now spend extra money at their facilities. We send everything to waste management facility at 16th and Raspberry. It goes up to the landfill, then that goes out to Ohio. And now their facilities had to be upgraded to now separate the impurities from the recycling items that could be sold. So that sent their cost up, and it also lessened the amount that they could sell. So their cost went up and their revenues went down. So that got passed on to us. That contract was a 1-year contract because we weren't sure. We wanted to see what the market was going to be by the end of 1 year, whether or not it would look like it was going to go up or stay the same or go down. We have an option at our choice to go another year. So that's a decision we have to make to see if we put it out for bid again. There's also Pro Waste is in town. They bid on it. Previously, we've only had one entity, which was Waste Management, bidding on this, and Pro Waste got into the mix. They didn't win the bid last round, but they're still here, and I'm sure they'd be interested in bidding again. It's whether or not we'll get a price higher than what we're paying now or not. So that's the decision that has to be made. Is it worth bidding out or staying? So it's almost like cards. Do you hold it or not? And so that's where we are with that. We're the recycling is just and that's across the country. It's not just here. That's completely across the country. We're not alone at all. Jamestown, I think, we pay $125 a ton. I think Jamestown is about $145 a ton, something like that. So it's just across the country.
And I believe with the glass end of it, which people may not realize what impact that has now that we recycle our glass separately. So it doesn't go in the recyclable bags that we pay the higher tonnage rate on. It doesn't go in our garbage, regular garbage, which it can now, but if the citizens realize if they can hit these recyclable areas that will be coming out, that can save us on our tonnage for our regular garbage.
That's correct. And glass is something that's valuable, recyclable material if it's done right. And the way when we were doing single stream recycling through waste management, everything was mixed together and the glass was getting broken and it was completely unusable. So we're excited about this new program that will be starting soon.
And I did not get to hear the mayor's press conference, but how many sites were they talking about possibly in the city for take the glass?
I think we're going to put them at everywhere where we put compost out. So that's 5 different sites. So we'll have them side by side.
Great. Well, we appreciate the effort there. Anything else from council? Any other questions?
Yeah, Dave, I had a question, Dave, and you meant the you brought the construction barriers before with some of the construction downtown. Just to kind of confirm, I think I know the answer. I just want to make sure. All the contractors or developers, they pay for all the barricades, they pay for all the enclosures, and of course, if there's any degradation to the streets from construction activities, correct?
That's correct. We don't bear any of the costs for any of these construction activities, and actually they have to get their traffic control approved by Leanne Parmenter in traffic engineering, and she's actually been requiring more in some of these busy areas where, say on French Street and Peach Street, where we have the lanes narrowed down. They're now buying these attenuators that will protect the cars if they do hit into something. They're hitting something that could lessen the blow and reduce any injuries if they were to crash into the traffic control system. And those are expensive. They're about $35,000. So, and also the degradation of the streets is also paid by the contractors.
Yeah, so you know the condition before and after, so you could make sure that it's repaired.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I guess one other question I have, gentlemen, was our paving contract for this year. We did reach all the planned streets and that were on schedule to be paved this year?
Yes, that is correct. And I think at the end of the year, we had a surplus in funding available. So we added an additional 8 or 9 streets to the unpublished list.
Nice.
So we went above and beyond what we were committed to do in 2020.
And those additional streets we did, Chuck, were those done in-house, or did we sublet those out?
They were all done in-house. We made no change orders. We made no change orders to any of the contracts. The contracts came in very favorable. We had some additional monies, and we did the work in-house on all those streets.
The work that is done by our guys is we think superior to what any of the contractors do out there.
I'll be honest with you. That's exactly what I was just going to mention. It seems that our in-house guys do it quite well, and without any added cost at the end of the bidding cycle that they needed unforeseen monies. That's always gotten me on these council agendas where unforeseeable costs. But what kind of funds are we looking for next year's paving season?
It's going to be almost exactly the same as last year. We're going to be able to do just as much paving. It's going to be a combination of liquid fuels, bond money. As Chuck said, the federal aid routes, we received the $350,000, and then we have about $500,000 of CDBG money. So we'll be doing just about the same amount of paving. And also we have our curb ramps we do each year as well.
Of course. Is next year our last year for the bond money, and how much is the bond money of that paving expense?
We have 2 more years of bond paving, 21
Good.
And 22. And if Paul can give the correct, no, I don't want to give the wrong number, but I believe it's around $5 million.
Just a hair over 5 million. There's about 5.2.
Okay.
Jim, to answer that, we actually, when you take out the bonds, in part of the bond indenture, you have to use the money up within a certain amount of time, and we have a 4-year window from the 19 bonds, so we have to use that money up in the next 2 years.
Okay. Good, because
he put together a chart or a graph, whichever, not a graph, but a chart on page 60 of the handout book, which shows the proposed paving summary for next year.
Okay.
Where, what we're planning on doing, where the money's coming from, et cetera.
Okay, I guess, and I'll be honest with you, my biggest concern now, after 2 years when the bond money has expired, where we're going to get the additional revenues to cover the paving is all, which may not have that answer tonight just yet. Any other questions from council?
Yeah, this is Michael Keys. I would like to say great presentation, and this is probably counterintuitive, but I look at the walk list and I see that we are paying people $8 an hour in your group of people, your seasonal workers and your part-timers. And I think, even at an additional cost, we need to look at paying people a minimum of $10 an hour.
Michael, we agree with you 100%. And in the budget for next year is money to raise that to $10 an hour, and $8 does not make it. And that came loud and clear this year when we were unable to get as many employees as we really wanted because no one wanted to really work for $8 an hour. So that is in the budget.
And refuse fund.
Michael, I'm glad you suggested that. I also would recommend that.
The refuse workers always, carriers and drivers get more than that. They've always received more than that. And I think we're budgeting the carriers, I think, at $12 an hour and the drivers at $13 an hour. And that it's just a very difficult job that they have there. And it's hard to keep people in that.
And you're okay with COVID? It seems like you have that's quite a bit out on quarantine and that.
Well, we're not okay with it. It's just a lot of it's just contact. A family member may have had it and they were in contact with them, so they're quarantining. Not that they have it, but for just to protect everyone else. It's just following the CDC guidelines. So
right.
We've been very lucky, and I've only had a few positive cases.
Has that affect the garbage pickup itself, Dave?
We have not had any of our services affected by the COVID.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. And we have plans in place if one of the bureaus gets hit hard. We have a lot of people that can step in if need be. So we got contingency plans as well.
I just like so much how you're being proactive about things. And I used to like coming into your room and looking at your whiteboard about all the positivity. And you're definitely seeming to achieve those things. And you're really towing the line as far as cutting costs and things like that. That was really great how you presented. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there's no other questions. We want to thank you guys for the efforts. Naturally, we're behind you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the time and all your support throughout the year. Thank you.